Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream where we have a very special guest, Emily, who we're going to go and find in a second with the magic of technology, hopefully. Hi, Emily. How are you doing?
Hi, David. How are you?
Very well, thanks. And yourself?
I'm doing good.
Good. Oh, hang on. I've just got to mute myself over here. Otherwise, we're going to hear us twice. There we go. All right. So today you're going to take us through an image edit, correct?
Yep, that is right.
Okay, and then we've got 20, 30 minutes, however long it takes. If it's less than that or more than that, that's all good. So let's see if, again, by the magic of technology, we can bring you up on screen. And yes, we
You
can.
see my screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So
Well,
tell us
welcome
about this
to
shot as well.
yeah, well, welcome to my version of Capture 121. So I've got this shot. This is actually from probably 2018. So this is one of my older shots.
Okay.
Just to start off with our settings, in the bottom left-hand corner down here, you can see I'm at ISO 100, 1/125th of a second, and aperture f8. And I'm shooting with an 85 millimeter 1.2 lens. So just kind of some tech talk to get us started.
Cool. Very nice.
This is more on the like commercial lighting side for me. And if you guys are familiar with my work, I tend to stick to more dramatic, high contrast, kind of moody shots. I really like adding in like a moody, feminine, kind of dramatic element. So I feel like we've got that here in her expression. There's a lot of good elements going on, but I am going to want this edit to make it just a little bit moodier. And you'll notice as I go throughout my edit, everything I do is pretty subtle. So with that said, why don't we get started? First thing I'm going to do is I am just going to add in a tool here, my rotation and flip. And this isn't a tool that I use often. So I'm just right clicking in this bottom area, going to add tool, rotation and flip. And then once I've got that here, I'm going to go down to flip and choose horizontal.
So
and
why didn't you shoot it that way in the first place?
Yeah, good question, David. A lot of the times I will look at an image after I've shot it and I'll be like, okay, this is close to perfect. What could make me like this image a little bit more? And that's when I'll start playing around with flip. It's not something I do too often, but every once in a while, I think it adds a lot.
Yeah, it does.
So
it does
this image
work better, actually, I have to say.
Yeah, and to me, and I can't really explain why, but this adds like a little bit of mystery, kind of having her back to the right-hand side. Yeah, I'm just liking what it does. So now that I'm done with that, just again, because I don't often use rotation and flip, I'm just going to go to these three little dots and do remove tool. And then you can do that with anything. There's so many tools you can add. So very changeable workspace depending on how you like to go throughout your workflow.
Nice.
So now that we've got that, I'm just going to create a new field adjustment layer. I'm going to work on this. And right now I have my mask turned on, so I'm just going to hit M and turn that off. But anytime you want to see your mask, you can just hit M and it will pop right up. And I'll show you a little bit of that later. So starting off with my white balance, things are looking pretty good for me. I'm going to cool this down just ever so slightly, even right about there. And with my white balance, I do tend to do just almost a little bit of color grading as well. Normally, I'm pushing it a little bit warmer. For this image, though, I'm putting it a little bit colder just to kind of add in a little bit of that mood. But again, really, really subtle changes with this. Tint is looking pretty good for me. I'm just going to leave that alone. And we'll jump right into exposure. Exposure, I think that looks great. It's almost a little bright for me. Again, I do try to stick to the moodier side, but instead of changing my exposure, I'm actually going to go down to my brightness and just lower that. And I'm going to keep pulling. I'm staring at my image as I'm pulling this down. So let's see.
Of course.
Right about -5 looks good for me. And I skip my contrast, but I'm going to go back up here and pull that up just a bit. I tend to stick about 1 to 5 for my contrast. Right about, we'll make it an even 5. And then saturation. So this is a very saturated image for me. Again, even though I'm normally moody, this is kind of commercial lighting. It's brighter colors. So I'm going to take my saturation down just a bit as well. Again, we'll do -5.
Sorry, Emily, to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Do you always start off with a field adjustment layer as well, as opposed to working off the background? That's the Photoshop in you, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Oftentimes I'm working on the background, and I'm doing that a little bit differently today, just to kind of show the opacity option as well. But
Good.
but
Yeah.
mostly I am working on my background, and then I will create a new adjustment layer for my color, because especially with color, I tend to go a little overboard.
Right.
I like to change that. So I'll just see what we're doing here. So there's a couple ways you can see what we've done so far. One, we can just check right here and see what we've done. And then the second way, we can go up to our top right-hand corner, and we have a before and after slider, which is one of my favorite features added. I'm very, very happy about this. So if we pull over, this is our before, and then I like to really slowly slide it back and just make sure that I'm not going too far. And right now, definitely not. So let's keep going.
Cool.
Exposure, looking good. Let's skip down to our high dynamic range.
Oh, don't forget to turn your before after off.
Thanks. That would have been interesting.
Like, why is nothing happening?
Wow,
Yeah.
Emily really is serious about this subtle editing. So highlights, I'm often pulling down a little bit. I will go down just about -3 in this. I'm kind of looking at this area right here, but we don't really have any blown out highlights, so that's okay. Shadows, I'm going to pull those down. This is something I do for almost every single image. Whites, will push those up just a little bit. And again, you can see all my adjustments. I'm sticking from about 1 to 5. If I'm shooting outdoors and it's a bright sky, I might pull the highlights down to -80. But mostly I'm sticking within these numbers. And then blacks, let's pull those down a little bit too. I'm looking at her dress as I'm doing this. Right about there is looking good. And now I'm looking at the top of her eye, and I think everything is looking great except towards this area right here. I feel like I went a little too far down. So let's actually take my blacks and we'll go to -2 instead. You know what? Let's make it a 0. And I'm just going to zoom in and see what I'm doing to that eye. Again, before and after slider, pulling it over. It's looking pretty good to me.
Nice.
I might go back after we're done and see what we need to adjust, but so far so good. Skipping down to my levels, I'm going to take my highlights. I'm going to move this over just a little bit, right about there. And again, this is a pretty normal number for me as well, around 240. With my midtones, I'm going to take those back a little bit to add in some shadow. About there is good for me. And then with my shadows, I'm really careful on this side because a little bit can go very, very far. Yep. So let's go just about 2. And that's looking good. So I'm going to see what I've done just with my levels. I'm going to hold my option key, and I'm going to go to my reset key right here. And this is going to show me just what I've done to my levels instead of the overall image. So that's looking really nice to me right now. Skipping down to curves. So we've got our RGB curve and our Luma curve. I tend to work in the Luma just because RGB is affecting our color and saturation as well as our contrast. So when I'm pulling that, you're going to get some color shifts, which you might want, but for me, I don't want that. So I'm going to skip over to Luma, and this is only going to affect our tones. So I'm just going to put 2 points right about here and here. I'm just going to create a really subtle S curve. So I'm going to take this point and bring it up just a little bit. And our Luma curve is also, it has a dramatic effect if you pull it too far. So you can see, even if I pull right up here, for me, that's way too much. So it's not going to look like much on this graph, but we're making big changes. And I'll show you what we're doing in just a moment. Pulling this one down slightly. Even that is too much for me. So right about there, and it doesn't look like much, but if we hold our option key and we hit reset, you can see that's doing quite a bit. And then one more time, let's bring up our before and after slider, see everything we've done. Looking good. And I can already see it looks like in her hair at the top part right here and in her eye right here, I've still gone a little too far down with my darks. So I'm just going to go back up here. I'm going to take my blacks, and instead of lowering it, I'm actually going to bring it up just about 3, 4. Let's see that. Looking good. I'm going to bring it up a little bit more, just about 5. That feels pretty good. And then with my shadows, I'll take this down to -1 instead. That's feeling pretty good to me. So we've got our Luma curve. Everything looks good here. Next is clarity. So clarity is a fun tool for all of my street photography for all of my street photography, I play with clarity and structure a lot because I really want this skin detail. And a couple of years ago, when I was newer to Capture One, I was adding in clarity and structure to all my fashion images as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then would do all my work in Capture One, outsource to my retoucher. And he would be like, Emily, what? You're sharpening these images. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yes, you
Yes,
are.
you are.
I know it. Yeah, especially for beauty work where there's a lot of detail in the skin.
Sure.
You might not want to add clarity and structure because you're just going to create a lot more work for yourself.
Yeah, structure definitely. And with something like, an environmental portrait or reportage or whatever, structure can work.
Mhm.
Like if you wanted to enhance this as an example. Yeah.
Yeah.
But on a beauty shot, then yeah, you do just have to be really careful as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm just zooming in just to show you there's so much detail in here already.
Hmm.
We really don't need to add a bunch more. And just to show you guys, I'm pulling my clarity up.
Yeah.
Like, again, ignore how over processed it looks, but it's just creating a lot more detail for me. So
Hmm.
outside, I will totally do this, but in studio, where I already have a lot of detail in the face, I'm usually staying away from my clarity.
And the
And then
contrast
this,
you've shaped with the lighting as well to a certain extent as well,
yep,
haven't you?
right,
So,
totally.
yeah.
And then with my vignette, this is something I normally do, but because we're in studio and I kind of have this more commercial lighting down, I'm going to leave this one alone for now. So overall, these global adjustments looking good to me. I'm now going to create a new layer. It's going to be a new filled layer. And just to remember our differences, I'm going to name this color.
Which you never do unless demonstrated.
Yep, absolutely. I
Yeah.
know normally I am not as great with layers, but with color especially, this is going to be important to show you just because I do tend to go overboard with my color as
Okay.
I'm playing around and then look at the before and after and be like, okay, I need to tone that down a little bit. So let's skip over to color and we'll scroll down here. So I start with color balance. This is by far my favorite tool in Capture One, and it's so fun to play with. Any of my photographers or retouchers out there obsessed with color, you'll know this is the funnest tool around.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start out with master, and the way that I do this is I just take this little guy and I pull it to the edge so it's full saturation, and I just slide it slowly around the color wheel until I find what color kind of feels right. So these blues I'm really liking, this cooler tone. Again, this is kind of giving it that moody feel that I was wanting before. And then I pull it to the warmer colors over here. Not so much any of these, but I think right around blue is going to feel good to me, right about there. I'm going to go to my slider on the left. This is our saturation slider. Instead of just dragging this guy back, I'm going to take this little guy right here. I'm going to say little guy a bunch, sorry guys. And I will just pull this all the way down. So this is 0 saturation right here. I'm going to slowly bring it up just about there. And that's looking good. Again, subtle differences that all add up. So let's skip over. 3-way is just showing you your shadows, midtones, and highlights all together. So we'll go over to shadow. Shadows, I'm almost always sticking to my cooler colors for this as well. So I'm going to complement my master with going to a cooler color. That kind of darker purple looks nice. I'm slowly pulling that over to more blue. I think that looks really beautiful. So 2 things I'm going to do here. One, I'm going to affect my saturation. The second is I'm also going to change my luminosity. So we've got our saturation slider on the left, and then on the right-hand side, we have our luminosity slider. So for shadows, I'm normally taking this down just a little bit. Again, I don't want to pull that too far, but let's take this and just pull down slightly. Right about there, it looks good to me. And then I'll take my saturation and pull that way down again. Slowly bring it up. Right about there. So pretty close to where I had the master color at as well. Midtones, this one I'm going to drag around again, just see what feels right. And I kind of like what's going on in this orange color here. I'm going to avoid the cooler blues because now we're getting her skin tone in here. And I think right about there, that kind of has like a nice vintage feel for me. I'm going to leave my luminosity alone, but I'm going to go to my saturation. And again, same thing we did before, slide it way down.
That's actually a really nice way of doing it, because this way you can pick the color, I guess, and then by using the slider, because most of us, we just tend to drag the little ball around, but when you're dragging it in and out, you're not actually keeping the color as consistent as the one that you
Yep.
pick. So that's a really nice way of doing it.
Yeah, a lot more precision with this.
Yeah, definitely.
And then last but not least, our highlights. So this is going to be affecting her face. So I want to stay away from these colors that, you know, aren't naturally in her complexion. And I'm going to go for a warmer tone here. So right kind of within our yellows and our oranges, I'm pulling it up right about there. It looks beautiful to me. And then with my luminosity slider, because we're in the highlights, I'm actually going to bring this up just a little bit. And then again, saturation, same thing we did before. You guys are picking up a trend. Okay, so we've just done that with our color balance. Let's see what I've done now. So I'm going to hold my option key, click on my reset key for color balance, and see what we've done. Oh, that is beautiful. So it's a really subtle difference. Let's see. And I can go a little bit more. So let's go back to our shadow. I'm going to now bring this up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not too much. Let's see that. And then midtone, same thing. And we'll do that to master as well. Let's see. Right about there. Okay, one more time. This looks beautiful. So even just that subtle color grade, to me already feels like this is a much more polished image.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a huge change to be of benefit, that's for sure.
Yep. And at least for the way that I color grade, like color is to me the most exciting part of editing. But I do really love to keep it subtle so that the viewer isn't looking at the image and they're like, oh, I know what you did.
Yeah. There's a massive, sea change to this. Yeah.
So next, I'm going to skip down to my color editor. So I am on advanced currently, but if you want to affect individual colors, you also have your basic editor. But for me, I only want to play around with our background blue right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to take my little eye picker right here and select this color blue. And then go down here. So smoothness, if we want to isolate this color blue so it's not affecting anything else, I can drag all the way down. And now this specific color blue is isolated. Vice versa, if I want some other colors to start to bleed in here, I can just bring that smoothness up. And then on that color wheel, you can see now it's bringing in some of those greens. It's bringing in a little bit of purple. Mm-hmm. But again, I just want that blue. So we're going to be pretty isolated here. Next up, our hue. So this is where it gets really fun. I'm just going to drag these to either side and see how this is being affected. So we have this cool teal, which I love, but doesn't feel natural to me. Mm-hmm. Something about this feels off. And then if we drag it all the way to the other side, we have this lovely purple. So it's going to be somewhere within there for me. I'm just going to drag around until it feels like a nice color. And right about there looks pretty fun. And then let's play, I'm going to skip saturation for now. We'll come back to that, but lightness, we're going to jump to that, pull around there. That is definitely not what I want. Lightness does. You know what? We're going to keep our lightness at 0. And now with our saturation, let's bring it all the way up.
Whoa.
Definitely not that. All the way down. Definitely not that. So again, because I'm kind of going for this moodier feel, I'm just going to take my saturation down a little bit. So let's keep pulling. Right about there looks pretty good to me. Same as I did before. Option, reset key. And that's looking pretty cool. I'm going to take my hue down just a little bit. And then let's see what we've done to everything. So before and after slider at my top right. So before and after.
Nice.
This is looking really good to me. I still think there's a little bit too much blacks in her eyes. So I'm going to go back and correct that real quick. But everything else is looking really great to me. So let's just go back to adjustment layer 1, back to my adjustments. And there's a couple ways we can do this. The way that I'm going to do it is just make a global adjustment. But if you wanted to be a little more fine-tuned, you could also make a mask and then just go into that area and select it. But I'm okay raising the blacks all over just because at the bottom of her dress, I see I went pretty dark down here.
Yeah, it's fairly dark there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we take our shadows and I'm going to pull up right to about 6. And let's see what we've done there. That's looking better to me. That looks pretty good. Okay, so next up, I'm going to create another new layer. This is going to be a new empty layer this time. And this, changing it up a little bit. This is going to be our eyeball layer. So let's Command plus, we're just gonna zoom in here and pressing spacebar to pull up and see her eye. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. We're gonna get a lot of detail in here. So around her eye, there's all these little veins, which later on when I'm doing the actual retouching work, I can worry about those later. But the first thing I'm gonna do is just kind of lighten this area up a little bit. So I'm going to go to my brush tool right here, and I'm using my bracket keys to make this smaller or larger. So bracket key on the left, smaller, bracket key on the right, larger. So let's start painting in this white area right here. And as you can see, I have no idea where I'm painting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit M, and that's gonna show the mask that I've just created. And this way, you can see I got some on her actual iris. I don't want any of that. So I can just clean this up afterwards. I got some on that iris too, very sloppy. So I'm just gonna go to my eraser tool, make this a lot smaller, and start taking away those areas that I shouldn't have painted in. Looking good, a little bit more. And again, we can be a little sloppy about that. That's okay. But that's looking pretty great to me. And then I'm going to hit the M key on my keyboard again, and that will take away that red mask. That is just to see where I'm painting. And I'm gonna go down to exposure just to bring this all the way up to show you guys what's going on. Oh, that looks great. So now we have that area. Yep, done. And that's how you edit. So I'm gonna bring up exposure just a little bit. Let's start right there. And then let me turn on that mask again. I'm worried there's still some, no, okay, there's not any in her iris, we're okay. And then I'm going to take my saturation. I'm gonna bring this down just a little bit. And this is just going to kind of whiten up her eyeballs. Right. The thing that I'm really gonna stress here is you don't wanna go too far with this, because if eyes are too white, it starts looking really unrealistic. Yeah, so as with all editing, please be subtle. I'm gonna make this -7 and just see what we've done here. That's pretty good. Zooming all the way out. That looks beautiful to me. Great. So again, before and after, let's see everything we've done. That looks really nice.
Super nice.
The last thing that I'm gonna do in here is I'm going to go back to my layers, and I'm going to create a new clone layer. And I'm gonna do this because if you guys can see, I mean, one, this is mostly just to show you, but if we look at this area right here, there's just a lot of hair that's getting a little bit crazy, and I'm just gonna clean some of that up. So let's see how well this goes. Clicking on my little clone, and option. Oh. Let's see.
Those damn flyaway hairs, eh?
I know. And we can just kind of clean that up a little bit. And I don't want to take all of this away, but just taking some of these little stragglers.
Yeah.
And then if we turn that on and off, that's looking pretty good to me. And it still looks natural. There's not like an abrupt end to where her hair is. So again, we've done this 50 times, but we're going to do it 51 times. Let's do our before and after slider one more time. Just see what we've done.
Nice.
And that looks really beautiful to me.
Mm-hmm. Subtle but effective.
David. Yeah. And again, I really prefer subtle editing. I think you never want someone to look at one of your images and be like, wow, they really edited that one. Yeah. Or at least I don't.
No, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It really shouldn't. So, I mean, with something like a beauty shot, which is heavily focused on selling, a product, then yes, it's often more obvious that it's edited. But something like this, you don't want it to be retouched like crazy and everything. It should be natural. I have a couple of good questions.
Great.
One from Zephaniah, hopefully I got that name right. It says, hi Emily, any particular reason you're choosing cooler colors for your shadows? I'm new to color grading.
Yeah, so I guess cooler colors have more of a, I'm thinking about which way I want to answer this. I guess cooler colors have more of a moody kind of tone. So when we're, you know what, I think it might be easier to show you, and maybe that'll make sense to what I'm doing. So if we take our shadows. And instead of this like cooler color right here, we bring it to like this warm color. It, for me, it kind of lifts those shadows a little bit too, where I guess to me, this feels a lot richer. Maybe I think that's the answer I'm going to go with. The cooler colors feel a lot richer in the shadows to me.
Yeah, and it's often because you went to warmer midtones, it's often that complementary aspect as well.
Yep.
Like if you're pulling the shadows
almost,
to the colder tones, then highlights and midtones go in the other direction.
totally. And I'm not always using blues or purples. I almost always am. I would say 80% of the time I'm sticking to kind of blues and purples, and then complementing that with yellow for my highlights, because I always want that for my skin tones. But that doesn't mean that there's not room to play around with that too.
No, and a good follow-up question for that, which I think almost answered, La Caraja. I already saw like 10 different ways to color grade a picture on Capture One, all of them different and contradictories. I'm officially a lost beginner. I think that's because there is no one correct color grade, is there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. And you can choose any of them. You could do all of them. You could only do one of them. Really, I would say don't feel intimidated by that. If anything, it makes it easier because you don't have to follow
a rule.
This strict rule, right? So, I mean, I like color grade. Color balance for me is my favorite. But you could also go and color grade with your levels. Go to your red, green, blue channels. I'm just going to show you a quick, actually, I still have this pulled way up. So let's take this down again. I'm just going to show you a quick example. So we could take this and kind of drag this over. And now we're just bringing in this nice kind of green color. Or if I want to go to my red, this is going to bring in some nice kind of blue, green, which I love that. That looks beautiful to me. So I might leave that at about 2. So, I mean, that's another example. It's like I chose to focus with color balance, but I didn't even play with my red, green, blue levels, which is another really fun way. So I would just say don't get intimidated. It's just there's so many different things you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, and so many different color grading styles as well. Like I edited a shot a few weeks back from Danielle Chivon, and I can't remember when it was. It was a few weeks back, I think. But she edits like really sort of earthy and rich and dark and so on, which is not the way I edit, but it looks great. So it's also, as you say, what you're comfortable with too as well. I think the best inspiration for color grading is feature films and TV series. That's really the place to get inspiration, I think.
Totally. Yeah. Anyone looking for color inspiration, if you watch any of Roger Deakins films, I take a lot of inspiration from the color work that he does.
Interesting. Yeah. So we need a session like Grade Like Roger Deakins then, yeah? Name some of his
he did Blade Runner 2049, which just came out recently. I mean, for color, that's like the best one you could get. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He's done also a lot of animated films. He did Ringo, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It's Skyfall.
Yeah.
He's done some of the biggest movies around. He's a DP. But he has a lot of control working with the director, more control than probably any other DP in the world. But
yeah, definitely. And what's a show that I got interested in color grading? Mr. Robot, which is on, I don't think it's Netflix. I think it's another channel, but that's got some awesome cinematography in it and color grading as well. And the thing is, when you get interesting color grading, you can't watch anything without thinking, how did they color grade this particular scene? But that's the best education I think you and I could offer is look at movies and TV production, because they're a bit ahead of us, I feel, in terms of
absolutely. And just like look at what they're doing and then dissect it. Be like, okay, well, what colors are they putting into their shadows? What's in their highlights? Like how are they doing this?
Oh, Andy says he's got a podcast, so there we go. So,
he does. Oh my God, the Deakins podcast. It's my favorite podcast. I'm obsessed.
Cool. And then, Mr. Robot is HBO. There we go. Yan says the colors in Shape of Water. Exclamation mark.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yes. 1917. Yes, I agree.
Yep.
That was also a good one as well. All great solutions.
Yeah, and that was Deakins as well.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So, coincidence. Question from Yelva. I'm not quite sure I understand it, so I'm going to read it and then let's see if you can figure it out. I would like to know the importance of exposure for the body of both the model and the background, and the position of her face. Her gaze in this photograph seems bright and very warm to me. So I guess
I'm not.
Exposure balanced the background, I'm guessing.
I guess to me this is a properly exposed image.
Yeah.
I guess what, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're wondering why the background isn't darker than the model, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I'm not sure I entirely understand, but if you want to clarify on that, I would love to answer.
Yeah, but cool. All right. But I think, let's see. Yeah, La Carrara says again, thanks Capture Pro. I love using this software. I'm a 40-year-old man starting to offer professional photography services. Still young, thanks to you. What I need is to master color theory, but I'm on my way. Yeah, I think, yeah, if you can get your head around color theory, Emily, that's a great starter as well.
A lot of great resources out there. I mean, if you even Google, just Google color theory, you can look at like complementary colors, analogous colors, triadic colors, all of that when I'm color grading. I'm not sticking to those rules, but I definitely keep them in mind.
Yeah, cool. Nice one. And we need to give a little plug to your recently revamped YouTube channel as well.
Oh yeah, I'm finally on YouTube. I'm about to put out some content. I've been working with Adorama and creating a lot of tutorials for them that are all on my YouTube, but now it's time to actually create my own content too. Stuff. So that's exciting.
And to find you on YouTube, it's just Emily Teague, isn't it? As far as I remember.
Emily Teague.
Yeah.
Yep. There's not too many of me out there,
not
fortunately.
Too many Emily Teagues, no. And you've put all the Adorama content up there as well, haven't you?
Yep. Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah, so you can find all of that, then, which is some great tutorials on lighting mostly, isn't it?
Yep, yep. And then on Instagram, every once in a while, I share Capture One works and tips on there as well. And I'm very active, so if you ever have a question on Instagram, I'm normally pretty quick to answer.
Great.
Sometimes.
And we've just...
Yeah, I took that back.
Yeah, sometimes. Don't make promises. We've just put the link for the YouTube channel up in the comments as well. So check that out, and then you can learn tons of stuff from Emily about lighting and shooting as well. And all the cinema color grading examples are flying in. So we've got a colorpalette.cinema. I don't know that one on Instagram. Cool. We'll have to check that one out. Ivan says, you made it seem simple, Emily. Thank you. So there we go.
Oh, thanks, Ivan.
And
that makes me happy to hear.
Job, Yelva says. So
thank you so much.
Perfect. Great. All right. Thanks, Emily, for joining us today and showing us your edit. Just give us one last before and after so we can see the final. And then subtle, but with lots of impact as well. I'm
going to start slowly
back.
After. And then I'll do a couple of quick.
Excellent. Perfect. All right. Thanks again, Emily. And don't forget to join us again in the future as well. Thursday, if you want to come back slightly later than what we started this one. So half an hour later than what we started this one on Thursday. Then you can learn all about working with sessions. Maybe that's one for you as well, Emily.
Yeah, I need to show up for that one.
So join us on Thursday, half an hour after this time on YouTube and Facebook, and you can learn all about that as well. So thanks again, Emily, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Take care. Bye now.